Assalamu alaikum or peace be unto you. Let's see. Are you all there? Okay. All right. Remove that one. So we're not going to be on X this morning because it looks like X is having some problems. But anyway, assalamu alaikum or peace be unto you. Welcome to Sajdah's Monday morning motivation. We're going to talk about being a closer today. Give you guys a few updates for the weekend, and then we'll be off with our marching orders for the week. So sit tight. I'll be right back in a few minutes. Grab you some coffee, tell a friend, like and subscribe, and hit that super chat button if you're feeling this conversation this morning.
O Allah, guide me among those whom Thou hast guided aright, and preserve me among those whom Thou hast preserved, and befriend me among those whom Thou hast befriended. Bless me in whatsoever Thou dost grant me, and deliver me from the evil of what Thou hast judged. Surely Thou judgest, and none can judge against Thee, and he whom Thou befriendest is not disgraced. Blessed art Thou, O Lord, and exalted be Thee above what they set up besides Thee. I bear witness, nothing deserves to be served besides Thee, and I bear witness that Muhammad is Thy servant and apostle. Amen.
Listen to me. Once you realize who you are, you stop operating in desperation. You stop saying yes to stuff you ain't supposed to be saying yes to. So here's my big problem with a lot of y'all is your belief system is off. Like everybody can see how sweet you are. People are commenting on you could do this and you could do that, and you the only one ain't caught up with it yet. Gee, why you always on beast mode? I'm shocked more people are on beast mode. There are people who living from check to check and they comfortable. It's the weirdest thing to me. I'm like, boo, you broke. And you broke on several levels. We're not talking about Sally Mae. You still owe your grandma. We're talking about you need to cash your grandma out. Listen to me. Unless you number one in your industry, you shouldn't be chilling. And if you number one in your industry, you got enough common sense to know you better not be chilling. Every single day of my life, I feel like giving 120. Every single day. Somebody said yesterday, E.T., you gave 120. What you gonna do tomorrow? I said, I don't know. Give 140. I don't know, but I don't have days where I don't feel like it. Why? Because I'm counting on me. My wife's counting on me. My son's counting on me. I don't have days to waste. There's nothing wrong with the opportunity. You're not giving 120, you're giving 70, you're giving 60, you're giving 50, and you want what these people who've given sweat, who's given blood, who's given tears, you want what they paid for, and it ain't free. You don't belong at the bottom, and it's time for you to get your butt from down there. It's time for you to stop being comfortable at the bottom. Get your butt up and get to where you're supposed to be. The Bible says he was in a pig pen, and he came to himself, and he went home. Get your butt up. You are a royal priesthood. Get where you belong. Do what you're supposed to do. Live like you're supposed to live. You got all the stuff. You got it all. But you will not outwork me because your height has nothing to do with my work ethic. Your face has nothing to do with my work ethic. Your two-parent background has nothing to do with my work ethic. You will not outwork me. On your jet, you will not outwork me. In your Bentley, you will not outwork me. You will not outwork me. Get up. Act like you playing basketball. Act like you playing football. Compete. That's what bothers me. Many of y'all are not competing. I need effort. Compete. Go to class. I just left for school telling these kids, act like you playing football. Go in that doggone classroom. Compete. Many of you have lost your competitive edge. Get your competitive edge back. I'm not against no other motivational speaker. I'm just competitive. Some of you are not successful because every single time you run up against a trial, every time you run up against a tribulation, you stop and you cut off beast mode. And what I'm here to tell you is, if you tell that thing, I'm here just like you here, and I promise you, I ain't leaving without the degree. I ain't leaving. I will not leave without that goal. I will not leave without that dream. I will not leave this opportunity until I get it.
All right, y'all, get on up. Let's get to it. Happy Monday. Assalamu alaikum. Peace be unto each and every one of you. Welcome to Sajdah's Monday morning motivation. I hope you all are up, ready, motivated this Monday morning. I hope you had a good weekend. I had a good weekend. I spent Saturday helping to support, preserve, and celebrate house music. So we had a great time. Let me show you a little video, and then I just want to talk about it real quick before we get into the subject today. Let me just play it. Just a short little clip. I just wanted to show y'all. But let me say this. And I wanted to show that because I saw some crazy stuff online with some so-called spiritual people who had negative things to say about the Chosen Few picnic and the preservation of this aspect of our culture. And I want to say to you, stop it. Because this is why so many deep and beautiful aspects of our culture end up getting stolen or morphed off into something else, and we don't own it anymore. We don't monetize it anymore. We don't know the history of it. We don't know the people. We don't know who started it. It's happened with jazz music. It's happened with all different genres of music. It's happening right now with hip hop. Stop it. Just because you ain't feeling it, just because maybe you was in a crazy mode in your life when you first learned about it, don't mean that you can't support. It is critical that we own, support, and monetize our culture. There are things in Chicago that were started here in Chicago. They were so great that they spread around the world and everybody claims it. Let's claim it as our own. It's nothing wrong with that. Yes, we're always recreating. Yes, we're always doing things. But let's own and monetize it. Preservation matters. Y'all know I believe in it. Look at the bottom of the screen. Preservation matters. History matters. And it's important as a people that we begin to own, monetize, and support our culture. So shout out to the Chosen Few DJs and their team for monetizing, telling the world about house music, celebrating it. It's fabulous. And they put on this beautiful event every year, high energy. If you love music, if you love being around a good group of people who are artistic and out there having fun, then you should have been there. But stop talking mess every time somebody's trying to preserve an aspect of our culture. Because see, the thing is, it may not mean nothing to you now, and it may not have meant anything to you then. It's just like stepping. It's just like Zydeco. It's like jazz music. It's like Black folk music. It's like gospel. Own and monetize the culture. We create things that are so big and so fabulous that people take them. People own them and people go, oh, that's mine now. You got people in Jersey going, no, house music is ours. You got people in Baltimore going, no, house music is ours. Frankie Knuckles, if you don't know anything about Frankie Knuckles, I am not getting ready to tell you right now. You need to go online and check him out, or come to Chicago and go check out his archives right on the South Side. Frankie Knuckles used to go back and forth between New York and Chicago. So a lot of people say, no, New York is house music. Or shoot, I was in South Africa and heard some amazing house music. I've even heard Afro house music in Nigeria, Baltimore house music, you name it. But shout out to the Chosen Few DJs for taking on, owning, and monetizing this great cultural art form that is called house music. We should be doing the same thing with so many other art forms in our culture. Okay. Art, there's nothing wrong with art. Some of y'all spiritual people who you on this dogmatic, just weird ass way in which you think that people are supposed to build. Arts and culture is an important part of it. And there's various different art forms. And let me tell you this, you can build your new kingdom, spiritual folks. But if you throw away every single aspect of culture, you're going to lose the very people that you claim that you're trying to help. Yeah, things could be cleaned up. Yeah, folks ain't perfect. But our culture, our history is important. If you understand history, you understand where we are going. And look, just like all other art forms have been stolen from us as a culture, don't sit there and think that one day they won't try to make, because we ain't going nowhere. They won't try to make being a Muslim in the Nation of Islam an art form. And then it'll be a way of life. People will start to take the knowledge and the wisdom and the teachings and steal it. They're already doing it with intermittent fasting. They're already doing it with how to eat to live. Let's start preserving something and owning it and monetizing, because what happens is culture makes money. Culture is monetized. Culture and an art form is a way in which people market. They use music as beds under commercials and different things like that. And I could go on and on about that. But what happens is the people who invent these things or really develop these art forms tend to become unpersoned. And if they're not unpersoned, they're repersoned. And then pretty soon you want to act like that person wasn't part of a larger movement or wasn't part of a larger story. It's like Malcolm X, right? People quote Malcolm X and act as if that never came from the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Don't think this won't happen. People quote Martin Luther King, certain aspects of him, and they don't even think about what he went through, the sacrifices he made, what he stood for, the number of people that he helped. They did the same thing with Marion Barry in Washington, D.C. A lot of y'all laughing like, wait a minute. Wasn't he the one smoking crack in a hotel room? Yeah, but he made a whole lot of people millionaires in the Washington, D.C. area, including some of the Black people right now that are billionaires or close to being billionaires. He was material in helping to develop those people. But he was unpersoned because he was monitored, marked, and one of his weaknesses was taken and exacerbated. So let's watch ourselves when we start becoming so judgmental. But anyway, shout out to the chosen few DJs. It was a great, positive weekend. And it was Power Networking Conference this weekend. I was not there. Y'all know I was at the Chosen Few picnic. But I don't think I saved it. Yeah, no, I didn't. I did not save it. Yeah, I got something else because I got to get to our topic. But shout out to Sister Audrey Muhammad, Virtue Today magazine, Power Networking Conference, Dr. George C. Frazier, the whole Special Advisory Board. Shout out to them for a successful conference. And shout out to Master P for picking up the magazine with your girl on it and promoting it. And appreciate that. I hope to work one day with P on some of this entrepreneurial stuff that we're doing. Y'all know my skill sets, my knowledge is deep and wide when it comes to this business and entrepreneurial stuff. And there's not a person in the world that I cannot contribute to when it comes to this right here. I know this like I know myself, right? You know how people invite folks on the shows and they have things that they can talk about off the top of their head and they just got it and they're the subject matter expert. That's me when it comes to this. So anyway, thank you so much. That was amazing. And I'm excited. Today, I want to talk about being a closer. Many of us are probably sitting here going, I'm not a salesperson, so why would I worry about being a closer? If you live on planet Earth, you're a salesperson. Because at some point in your life, you got to convince somebody in your family, in your circle, in your business, in your community, in the world to buy into an idea that you have, to buy a product that you have, to hire you, to not fire you, to date you, to marry you, to be your friend. You name it, to have a relationship with you, whatever that relationship is. Part of the problem, and why a lot of us are not closers, is because we get disappointed and we get sad. Let me talk about that. Let me tell you what that means, because I'm going to show y'all a very powerful video on sales. Every person, if you do not know sales, you almost have to get off the planet today because you got to be able to sell. But more importantly than selling, you got to be able to close. And you'll find out in this video. Why is it that when something happens, and somebody tells us no before we do, that we feel bad? Why is it that a lot of us approach sales in a very feminine way, in that we think that especially in business, I see this a lot from women. We approach it like dating. We approach it like femininity, where we'll go out and we feel like, okay, I got their attention. They think I'm attractive. They like me, but we never do anything to try to close the deal. We don't follow up. We just kind of sit there. And then when they don't choose us, we get mad and we make up lies about them. We start rumors about them. Oh, it was something wrong with him anyway. I couldn't get with that because of his ex-wife, or I couldn't get with him because of how he wrote. Whatever it is, we make up stuff. Okay. Or we use whatever in the situation that happened and we magnify that and make that the reason why we're not together. But at the end of the day, the real deal is because he didn't choose you. And why didn't he choose you? We're going to talk about that. You'll see that in the video I'm going to show you a little bit later. But a lot of it is because you're not a closer. You sat there and you knew you wanted him. You at least knew you wanted more attention, but you didn't close the deal. You didn't follow up. You didn't initiate more conversation. And this is true with men and women, but this is especially true in business. You met the person at a conference. You met them at an event. You met them at a party. You met them at the grocery store. You met them somewhere, but maybe you exchanged numbers. Maybe you didn't. Maybe you just stood there and smiled and put your little girl face on and just hoped that he would call you. And then you look up and one of your competitors is doing business with him. That's because you was sitting up there waiting for him to respond to you as if y'all was in a relationship. I see this all the time with people. And then they get mad. The girl, no, he ain't doing business with her. No, she didn't marry him. Well, she closed the deal. He closed the deal. You didn't. You sitting over here waiting for him to call you back. Might work for some people in a dating sense, but you got to get up and get to it. You got to get up and take charge. So you can't sit there and want what other people got that they paid for and then get mad because it ain't working out for you. Getting mad because you ain't got the results. We see this all the time. I've had people ask me questions when I've talked about certain opportunities, and they say, well, why you? And I said, well, why not me? See, I've paid a certain blood, sweat, and tears to be who I am, where I am, doing what I'm doing right now in this moment, lining up with the blessings that I got flowing this way. I set myself up for that, and then I was able to get the blessings as a result of it. I don't care. Listen, we don't believe in a spook God. You can sit there on your couch all day long, but the opportunity is not going to drop down into your lap. You got to get up. You got to get at it. You got to get to it. You got to give God something to bless. Don't get mad at God for blessing me or blessing her or blessing him when you ain't doing nothing. Why would he put a good idea in you when you ain't going to do it anyway? You're not a salesperson. You're not a closer. You don't study nothing. You ain't paid for nothing. So you can't possibly think it's okay to mimic the life of somebody else, to have what another person have, and you didn't walk the road that they walked. You don't get to just claim that. Sorry, you just don't get to do it. But what you can do is you can claim what's for you. And you can close out the deals and the opportunities and the people and the relationships that are right in front of you. You can't live my life. I can't live yours. You can't live his. We can't do that. But this is why when we're in sales, and a lot of times when we start our businesses, we have a hard time closing because we don't have closing the deal in our mind. We have how we're going to one up the person that we're competing against in our mind. We have how am I going to make myself significant in our mind. We have how am I going to make myself better than that person in our mind. We have how am I going to defy what they think about me in our mind. So no wonder we can't do anything right. No wonder we're not doing anything. And no wonder we're not receiving key issues, key products, key services, key things being downloaded into us from the universe, because we're not focused. We're focusing on something else and somebody else. A sales closer is the final and most crucial step in the process of convincing a prospect to agree to a deal and make a purchase or sign a contract. That can be a relationship contract. That can be a friendship contract. That can be a sales contract for a car, for a house, for anything you're selling. It could be anything. But what is on your mind? What is your focus? Where is your head as you're going through the so-called motions to sell these goods and services? What are you thinking about? Salespeople tend to give up. This is the difference between a salesperson and a closer. Salespeople tend to give up on the first or second objection. This is big. You see this all the time. As soon as a person gets a little objection, as soon as something don't seem right, as soon as they seem like they don't like us, what do? I ain't feeling them no more. I'm out of here. I'm going to give up. Why? Because you're worried the prospect may not like you. And you feel like they may start to judge you for being aggressive or assertive. Closers know that what they sell is in the best interest of the client. People give advice. You got coaches out here with these kind of limitations. And they say, well, don't ask for money. You better open your mouth. Closed mouths do not get fed. Folks are out here right now spending millions and billions of dollars every single minute to get your attention, to get my attention, because they want what's in our pocket or in our purse. And you better open your mouth up and say, hey, I'm good at this. Didn't y'all just hear me say, not only just to y'all, but to Master P, look, I'm damn good at this. I'm the best that you would ever be able to put on your board of advisors, your board of directors, or consulting or developing. I'm the best that come. And I'm only going to get better. Why? Because I'm not focused on nothing other than being better with the gifts that God gave me. Because I believe it's a divine gift. So I'm not sitting up trying to live my life like nobody else. I'm not trying to copy off anybody else. I'm not trying to be like you. I'm not trying to be like you. I'm not trying to be like you. I'm like, thank you, God, for the gifts that you gave me. So now, how do I make the best use of that gift? How do I align myself up with that piece of yourself that you downloaded and deposited inside of me? So this week, our Monday morning motivational task is to be a closer. Stop running into people that you know can make a difference in your life, and at least not have your elevator pitch together. Some of y'all around here going, I want a relationship. But you don't even talk to people. You don't smile at nobody. You don't say hi. You don't go nowhere. You know, maybe you're that cold and you can manifest from your couch. Maybe so. It happens. But a lot of times it don't happen. It's a lot of people competing for attention. And we're going to hear about that on this video that I'm getting ready to show you. So I'm going to play this video. I want you all to get your notebooks out. Y'all know it's from my boy, Tony Robbins. And we're going to talk about sales. And he's talking about why sales is important, what people buy. So many of us are out here. We have products and services, whether it's ice cream, cakes, tax services, Maybe we're selling financial goods. Who knows what we're selling? We could be selling anything that we're introducing into our community, but we don't understand what people are buying. And so this is why we all got to buy into supporting small businesses, supporting our community, and understanding the warfare tactics that our competitors are using to negotiate us out of position. And they're doing it by using these simple tactics. All right. So I'm going to take myself off the screen. Please make some notes on the screen. Let me know what you guys are thinking. I'll shout you all out when I get back. But check this out. Make some notes.
Now, Steve's a dear friend of mine, and when he was building the Win, I'll never forget, he was at my home in Sun Valley. I had just gotten to meet him. It was New Year's, and everybody else was standing watching the fireworks, and I was sitting at the table, and I was basically doing a brain melt, sucking out of his brain everything I possibly could. How do you think about this? What do you do? How do you market? And here's what I learned from Steve. People don't buy products. They buy feelings. People don't buy products. They buy states. People don't buy products. They buy identities. And he and I went back and forth for about 2.5 or 3 hours and became lifelong friends for the last decade and a half. And what I learned from him is, how many of you know the 6 human needs? Let me see your hands. Raise your hand if you know the 6 human needs. So real quick, for those who've never heard it before, what's the first need that all human beings have? It's not a goal, it's not a desire, it's a need. What is it, quick? Certainty. Everyone has a need for certainty that they can avoid pain, or ideally they can have some pleasure, but that's a survival instinct. If you have total certainty all the time, you will feel completely what? Bored. So what's the second human need? Quick. Uncertainty, which another word for uncertainty is variety. The need for surprise. Who here loves surprises? Say aye. Well, you like the surprises you want, right? Surprises you don't want, you call problems, but you need them too to be alive, and business provides plenty of variety, right? What's the third human need? The need to feel significant. Significant is the third human need, to feel significant, unique, special, important, significant. Who has the need to feel significant? Who? Everybody. What do people say? I don't want to feel significant. That's how they get significance, by saying, I don't need significance. I'm more unique than you. You have the significance, I don't. Some people get significance by buying a $500,000 or $1 million car. Some people get significance by saying, I don't spend any money. I don't need a nice car. I'm so special, I don't need a nice car. It's called a reverse ego symbol. Same need, they just go about it a different way. But if you're totally significant and unique and special, that feels good, but then you feel alone, because the fourth human need is the need for connection and love. Who needs connection and love? Everybody. And by the way, those first needs everybody gets: certainty, uncertainty, or variety, significance. Even if you have to make up stories about yourself, you'll find a way to feel significant, right? And a feeling of connection, if not love. The final 2 needs are the needs of the spirit. You must grow is number 5. You grow or you. If a business is not growing, what is it doing? That's a fact. There's no such thing as a stable business. You're growing or you're dying. There's no plateau that you can stay at and stick around. And lastly, number 6, you got to grow. And with what you grow, you have to contribute, because everything in the universe is either growing or dying. Everything in the universe is contributing, or it's eliminated by evolution, if nothing else. We're made for that. Now, having said that, when I was with Steve that night, I explained these 6 needs. And as I'm explaining them, he grabs me physically by the shoulder. He goes, that one. And I just said significance. He goes, that's where I've made all of my money in my entire life. He said, people will pay disproportionately to feel significant than for any other need. He said, people will spend more money. People want love, but they think they'll get love if they're significant, or at least they'll get laid if they're significant. He said, so I built the most expensive hotels in the world, and I charge more than anybody else. And even when Las Vegas in 2008 went through its drawdown, Steve kept his prices high. Why? He wanted to still be the most special place. He came to this seminar, sat in the front row, and there's almost nothing that makes me uncomfortable, but I'm like, what am I going to teach him? But he sat in this event at lunch, took me to lunch, and he goes, this is the most viable session I've been in the last 10 years. I know what I'm going to do. This is in 2008. He said, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to, when all my competitors are shrinking right now because they're trying to survive,
I'm going to go build this giant beach club that goes right to Las Vegas Avenue. I'm going to build this new entrance. I'm going to up my services. He said, I'm going to do what you teach. What is the fundamental success to becoming wealthy? It's only one thing. If you want to be wealthy, you have to do more for your clients than who? Than anyone else. You have to add more what? That is the entire secret to wealth in business. If you want it in one sentence, it's simple. Do more for others than anyone else is doing. Add more value, and you will own them, and you will own the marketplace. He goes, you know what I'm going to do, Tony? When everybody else is shrinking, I'm going to add more value. So all the high-end people are going to see I'm doing more, and they're going to come to me. And this down period is going to be the most important period of my entire career. Because when the economy comes back and those guys start giving services, I already own these people. They're not going to leave me. I'm their home. You got to ask yourself, what do I do to add more value? And many of you think adding more value means cutting your prices or doing something of that nature. Sometimes adding value is raising your price. It's crazy. Raising your price can increase your sales if it's the right piece. Now, if you raise your price and do more, no question that could be the right thing in some cases. Some of you, your market is the cheapest price. Maybe it's time to change that business model, because unless you're Walmart or Amazon or somebody that can do things at massive volume and lose money and sustain it, you might need a thing called a margin. If you're going to be successful in business, you want a high margin. High margins come from high human needs being met.
High margins come from high human needs being met. I'm going to put this in the chat so you guys can go back and listen to that. This is a free sales class for you guys. Those of you who are out here struggling. And let me tell you something. Stop looking at being in business and limiting it to being a vendor. So many people say, oh, I'm having a business expo, but really it's really just them just setting vendors up. Now, here's what can happen. During the years, for example, of the Black Expo, and when the Black Expo was going all around the United States of America, a lot of Black businesses got started, but a lot of people just set up vending booths and didn't really move past that. So you have to decide, which one are you? Are you the person that's there because you just want a vending booth? Or are you the person that's there because you're looking to expand your products or services, and you're hoping to, number one, gain more market share, get more eyeballs on your product or service? Or maybe you're hoping to network with the right person that you can circle back around with and always have an idea, a way in which you think that maybe they can help you. So you should have your elevator pitch. You should have a quick 10-second reason why your product or service is good. But just ask yourself the question, am I just a vendor, or am I a business person? And do I have a reason and a purpose for being here? And how do you turn that vendor situation when you go to these events, you pay your vendor fee, you lug all your stuff there, you set up, you take all these photos, you meet all these people. How do you convert that? Well, you always want to make sure that you find a way to gather information. I don't care if it's a sign-up sheet at your table. You should have a QR code where people can reach out to you later, but more importantly, you should be capturing their information. When I leave a conference like that, I've got, or any conference, I've got maybe close to a couple hundred names where I've got business cards, or I've got their information. I now have my electronic QR code that I use as my business card. And when I'm sending it to people, I'm also capturing their information so that I can follow up with them and say, you know, hey, good morning. How are you? Just wanted to touch base with you. You know, now there are some times where we're better at that than others. But what I found is that night in your hotel, before you get back, start organizing and sorting those names. And if you have time, start putting your emails together. Some are going to be generic. Some are going to be very specific because you remember certain specific things about that person that you want to, get feedback on. Some are going to be, maybe not so significant. It just depends. But you can start putting some of those emails together so that by that Monday morning, that person has an email in their inbox from you. Hey, it was great meeting you at the conference. What a wonderful, powerful event. Say something about the conference. I really enjoyed so-and-so's speech. I remember when he or she said this, this, and this. And thank you for stopping by the booth, or thank you for attending my workshop. Whatever it is, make sure that your follow-ups are timely. Don't wait weeks. Don't wait weeks. This is the key to being a closer. Because a lot of times, again, like I said, what we do is we approach business and sales like a little high school girl. Well, he saw me. I hope he likes me. And then we wait and we wait and we wait. And then 2 weeks later, we decide to send maybe an email, or we follow, but we never follow up. There's no close. And you don't have to. Here's another thing. You don't have to use the business model where you restrict your follow-up and your business with somebody that's in your industry. There are collaborations, there are partnerships. There's a lot of things that you can do with the people that you met. Let me give you an example. I just attended an event not too long ago. Here's the business cards from that event. I already sent out emails and stuff like that, and I keep them up here so that I can reach back out to the person and I can follow them on social media and continue to interact with them. When somebody approaches me sometimes with a business idea, I'll follow up with them. Hey, did you want to get together this week to talk about the business idea you spoke to me about? Especially if it's something that I think is really cool. I'll do a follow-up. Sometimes the person might just need a little bit of advice on how to put it together, or maybe they're just sitting on it because they're shy. Maybe they're like other people, but I'll find a way to sometimes to reach out. That's important as well. Very, very key, very, very critical. Let me see y'all in the chat this morning. Let's see. Let me go back here. Who we got here? Good morning, Mom. Good morning, Brother Lamont. Wa alaikum salam. Who is this? Stefan, terrific. Good morning. Welcome, sir. Let's see. So many intermittent comments in here. I see Franco says, Assalamu alaikum. If I missed you, say something in here so I can shout you out. Salam. Wow, thank you. That really hit home. Thank you, Sister Dawn. I'm glad to hear that. I'm glad it hit home for you. We got to make sure that we're a closer. And then a lot of us will meet somebody. They'll tell us about a business idea that they have. We'll let weeks and weeks and weeks go by. We won't follow up. We won't say anything. And then we'll be all mad when somebody else jumps in and is working with the person. Oh, he was lame anyway. She wasn't about nothing anyway. I heard this or that about her. So we started using these things to deceive ourselves. But the real deal is you didn't follow up. You're not in beast mode. You're not hungry. You're waiting for something to jump into your lap. You're too busy watching social media where it looks like things just come easy to everybody and you hoping it happens for you. You're too busy trying to live the life that somebody else got instead of living your own life. So you ain't focused on what's right there in front of you. Somewhere in those business cards that you may have collected, or somebody that you coming in contact with on a day-to-day basis, is the key to that next step in your life. God is not a spook God. He's going to send somebody around and they're right around in front of you somewhere. Or here's the other thing. Maybe there's not a person right in those business card stacks or right around you who has the answer to your problems, but interacting with them may help you to adjust whatever it is that's within yourself that will help you get to that next level and a step closer to having whatever it is that you want. So the answers, or the breadcrumbs to the answers, are generally right around us. And in a lot of cases, some of us have big, big things we're doing and big, big projects. And there's a lot of breadcrumbs that we got to follow before we get to the finish line. That happens as well. That happens as well. But it's okay. All right. So I want us to focus on being a closer this week. Stop sitting around waiting for somebody to choose you. And you make a decision and put in your head what it is that you want, and you speak that into existence. Don't hesitate to have a conversation with somebody. Say, hey, this is what I'm working on. This is what I'm hoping. This is what I'm looking to do. This is what I'm planning. You meet somebody and they have a business opportunity, follow up with them. Here's the last thing. A lot of us, if I go back into these needs that Tony Robbins talked about, a lot of us are so worried about certainty or uncertainty that we won't follow up with somebody because we're afraid that they're going to reject us. We're afraid that they're going to make us feel insignificant. You know, sometimes you got to go someplace and look good and practice your craft so that you can become certain. It's just like a comedian. Before they do the big special, they're going to small clubs and trying out their jokes so that they can be certain that it's funny when they say it on the big screen. So how often are you trying out your elevator pitch, your presentation, so you can see how people respond to you? You should be old enough to know that if I wear this type of garment, people are going to respond to me this way. If I wear that kind of garment, people are going to respond to me in another way. You should be old enough to know because you should have practiced it long enough. You know what color works for you. What's your money color? You should know these things. But a lot of us are so worried about feeling insignificant. We don't do anything to make sure that we can shore ourselves up and become more certain. And this is why I say, when you're in a relationship with somebody, whether it's a friendship, a sisterhood, if you're siblings, if it's parents, children, if it's a marriage, if it's a business relationship, help the person with certainty. Help them understand the power of certainty. Help them to feel significant. Help them to experience that connection and love that we all want to experience in any relationship. Help that person to grow and help them to find a way to contribute. Are you offering opportunities for a person to contribute? When you invite somebody somewhere, how are they able to contribute to the culture, to the cause, to something, to themselves? Because what do we say? When you're in need, you have to give. You have to contribute. It's a human need. And when you start working on satisfying not only others' human needs, but your own human needs, you will find that your sales efforts will be a lot better and they'll be a lot easier. Certainty, uncertainty, significance, growth, contribution, connection, and love. Key elements to any relationship and any sales program. This is why when you walk up to certain people's booths, because they make you feel so significant, you buy from them. You like them. If nothing else, you just buy an image from them. They may not be asking you for something, but they made you feel so significant that whatever they say that they're doing, whatever they say after making you feel significant, you're likely going to believe it because it made you feel good. Maybe they served you, but in whatever way, they made you feel significant. They may have told you a joke. They may have singled you out. They may have told you how pretty you are. They may have announced something about you to the crowd or to the audience, and that significance made you feel certain and excited. How many of you all have purchased an item for more than what you know you should have spent because it made you feel certain. It made you feel significant. What about that extra outfit you bought this weekend before you went out that you probably could have did without? You probably could have did something else with the money, but you bought it because you're out here looking for your significance and your certainty. This is why, here's a key thing in business. This is why when you're building a community or building a city, and I spent a lot of time working with companies that build cities in Africa. When you are looking to build a city or a community, a brand new community, most of them will have what they call mixed use or mixed income sites. Why? Because if you go into a community and there's a bunch of restaurants, you got maybe a lower end, then you got like a mid-level restaurant, then you may have one high-end restaurant. I lived in a community, they had like lower end, this was in Maryland, lower end, they had your Chipotles and your franchises, then they had the middle ranges, and then they had the higher ends, like your Ruth Chris's and things like that. Then they had condos, and the condos may have ranged from a lower range all the way up to multi-million-dollar homes, all within this one community. Why? Because people with certainty generally are not your people in the community who are going to go out every weekend and fill up those restaurants. It's usually people who are dealing with a certain level of uncertainty or who just like feeling significant in some way. That's why certain restaurants and certain companies and certain vendors do very well in our community. This wasn't always the case. We used to accept being treated poorly, and we would still give our money. But now we've shifted as a community that when somebody represents our culture, when somebody makes us feel good, makes us feel significant, we are there. The people will sell out. We're there every week. And so when you go into these new communities and they start to put restaurants and stores there, you always want to make sure that you have some people who live there who have a certain amount of economic uncertainty, because those tend to be the people that spend more money in the stores with products and services. And so with those people, you gotta make them feel significant. You got to give them that connection and love that they might either be missing in their life, or they might be at a certain income level where they're just working very hard for their money. And in working very hard for their money, they don't get that sense of certainty, that sense of connection, that sense of love. So they go out on the weekend to the parties, to the clubs, to the bars in the neighborhood. They gather with their friends, their family. They go out in big groups and they fill up these restaurants. Why? Because they're looking for that connection, that love, that relief from working all week for their money. If you put these same restaurants in a community where people are buying $1 million and multi-million-dollar homes, those people 9 times out of 10 are not going to fill up those restaurants every weekend. They'll go out every once in a while, but not every weekend. Now, some people like to say, well, because wealthy people, they don't go out to eat, and wealthy people don't do this or that. Not necessarily. Has a lot to do with these 6 things we talked about: certainty, uncertainty, growth, connection, love, significance. Has a lot to do with that. They don't have that level of insignificance, so they're generally not the people that are kicking it every weekend. They feel more certain. They feel more significant. So when they go out to eat, it might just be to eat or to do business. And so sometimes in these loud bars and loud scenes, maybe they can't do business, but you may find them doing business on a napkin, sitting up in the higher end restaurant. These are statistical facts. So if you ever build a community, you need to have some apartments, some condos there. Now, a lot of people will say, well, I don't want to go too low end because I don't want to create an environment where people are stealing because they need to eat. Now, I'm not talking about that. I'm just talking about that group of people who work for their money, who spend a lot of time working for their money. I'm not talking about people whose money works for them. I'm talking about people who work for their real estate. I'm not talking about people whose real estate works for them. So there are different needs that those persons, depending on their situations, are looking to fill. And so what business people do is they come right in to fill that need or fill that void. All right. I know a lot of times we don't know this because we're not on that side of the table often. Okay, so Keen X Robinson said, teach. Ali Khan said, what are you guys talking about? We are talking about being a closer and recognizing the 6 emotional needs of customers and how to be a closer and how to follow up so that we're not just sitting there being jealous because that person got something or went and did something that we wanted to do with them because we missed the opportunity. That's what we're talking about. Okay, family. So let's see. This is today. Tomorrow, I want to talk about, tomorrow morning, I want to talk about being a promoter of success. This is a mindset shift. Just like being a closer, and you're going to find all kind of people online who are going to give you formulas. I'm not a big fan of formulas when it comes to things. I really think that we should elevate into more intuitive type of thinking, professional intuition, because being a closer is a mindset. It's not necessarily a formula. And when you look at it as a mindset, you'll understand what words you should use and what words you shouldn't use. It just really depends on the culture. I don't think that anybody can get online and give you 100% of the words that you need to use, the formula that you need to use in order to be a closer. You have to make the mindset shift and say, I'm not going home unless I've sold X number of items, or I'm not going to let this opportunity pass me by, or I'm not going to let any opportunity pass me by. So you go into the situation being a closer. And because things move so fast in business, I'll say this last thing, you got to learn how to move quickly. Quickly doesn't mean that you move harder. Quickly doesn't mean that you're more aggressive. Quickly simply means that you get your mind together now so that you can follow up and move forward quickly. You can say out of your mouth quickly what it is that you're doing. People can tell by your body posture if you're a closer or not. I can look right at you and tell whether or not you're a closer. Most of us are not. Why? Because we don't have a closing mindset. Why? Because we don't want to be seen as being aggressive. We don't want to be judged. We don't want people to think, well, I don't want folks to think I'm all about the money. That's not a closing mindset. A closing mindset it means that you know how to make stuff happen when it's time to make stuff happen. Can you do that? And what are you focused on? Are you focused on being a closer and making stuff happen? Or are you so caught up in trying to be something other than yourself? Other than who and what you showed up on the planet to be? The choice is yours. All right. So tomorrow morning, we're going to be talking about success. Thursday, we are on to chapter 3 of the Mind of an Entrepreneur book, Expanded Possibilities, Cultivate a Mind Without Borders. If you don't have my book, get a copy. It's available on Amazon. If you already have a copy, buy another one and give it to somebody. The new book that's coming out in the fall, we're going to be launching it in a very different way. We're going to launch a few products this fall. But I want us to have gone through this book. So this week on Thursday evening on the Mind of an Entrepreneur show, we're going to be talking about having a mind without borders. Then we got Friday and Saturday morning coffee talks. I don't know what we're going to talk about yet, but we'll figure it out. So tune in tomorrow morning, 6 a.m. Central Time, right here on the Sajdah Wendy Muhammad YouTube channel. Get up and get at it, get to it. We're not laying up. We're not sleeping in. We're getting up before the markets open, before the salespeople get stirring around, before the energy in the universe gets established. We're up, right? Bringing our environment to the world early in the morning, taking advantage of that stillness, praying, meditating. That's what we're doing up early and listening to Sajdah early morning. Look, if you liked anything I said today, hit the super chat button right down here. You got a free sales class today. You didn't pay anything for it. Cash App us, Sajdah Enterprises. You can zell us at wendy100m@gmail.com. Make sure you support the completion of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad House. Go to supportsajdahhouse.com. You can make a donation. You can purchase one of our commemorative Elijah coins. If you want me to be an advisor, a coach, just check me out, book SajdahWendyMuhammad.com. Look, this right here, I know it. Business advisory, business consulting. You need a coach. You need an entrepreneur coach. Look, you need somebody, just book one session with me. I'll give you a session for free. We'll figure out how to tweak that mindset so you can be well on your way to that millionaire, billionaire status that you deserve. I want to first make sure that we stop hating money. Stop being so mad and saying, well, everything ain't about money. You're right. Everything ain't about money. Absolutely everything ain't about money. Money simply gives us choices. This is what we're talking about. Money gives us choices. We don't worship money. Money ain't our God. We don't put money over people. We don't put money over relationships. Money simply gives us choices. If we're sick, it's the difference between us taking the public health route versus a private doctor. We get sick. We don't want money to be an object. So money will help us with that. It'll give us access to treatment that maybe our insurance company isn't paying for. And we don't have to limit our health care to what our insurance company will pay for it. Insurance company is a supplement. That's why money is important. Money is important. It gives us choices in education. Where are we going to go to school? Are we going to be relegated to that school down the street in our neighborhood that we're not so satisfied with? Or can we pay for a private school? Money gives us choices, gives us a choice. Public, private, chartered, parochial, whatever. Money gives us choices when it comes to our diet. Can we afford to eat halal, to eat kosher, to read the back of the labels, to make sure we're eating our herbs and ordering our herbs and drinking the right teas and doing the right preventative measures? That costs money. Or are we stuck where we can't really afford to eat that much and we got to go through the dollar? We think we just got to go to the dollar menu at your local fast food restaurant. Choices. Gives us choices with food. Even if you say, well, just make a pot of bean soup and eat that every week. The bean soup ain't free either. The beans and all the things that go into it. All right. Choices. That's what money gives us. So get your money psychology together. And if you need a coach to help you with that, I will help you get past that, because some of us are so bad with our money psychology. We feel insignificant, uncertain. There's all those emotional needs that are not met, which then subject us to all of the emotional roller coasters that the business world puts us through, because they're playing on those 6 emotions. Okay. I ain't saying it's good. I ain't saying it's bad. It's just a game, and you just got to know the game. So let's, if you notice, I try to preserve as much judgment on these things as I possibly can. Bottom line is, what's the strategy? What's the play? And what do I got to do to solve the problem and have what it is that I want, so that I can introduce more goods and services into the community and develop and redevelop and distribute my gift That's it. It ain't I ain't mad about nothing. I'm not even mad about some of the obvious competitive games that the industries play on our people, whether it's fake food, fake education, fake healthcare. At this point, I think we all know that it exists. So what we have to do is make sure that we're knowledgeable so that we can get through it and work on our own emotions so that we can win. All right, family, I will see you all tomorrow, inshallah. And yeah, this week, work on being a closer. Don't go anywhere. Check out these commercials.
I have received so many pleasures, so many very good to look at, whether you own them or not. It's a pleasure just to look at such presents. Why, I have never witnessed so many presents. I think I have to build me a house for presents. This shows what Allah can do for you and me if we believe in Him.
There is nothing that we could not accomplish in the name of God. You know what your problem is? You don't have even a worthy goal to strive after. I'm going to give you an assignment today. Here's an assignment. Is there something you want? Do you want something? Something that you want, but you have not been able to get it? Huh? Close your eyes. Do you see it? Whatever it is that you want, first envision it. You got the picture. Do you see it? All right, now the question is, you have to claim what you see. I claim this. I claim it. I believe with all my heart in the name of God that I'll bring what is in my imagination into reality. We're going to bring it back like it never was. I see in the dome the name Allah written in Arabic. But I can't just dream. I got to go to work. How do you bring it into concrete reality? First, without faith, you can't work the vision.